Welcome to Weight Loss and Wellness for Real, the podcast where people like you get the practical solutions and support you need to permanently lose the physical and mental weight so you can feel better and live the life you really want to live in the body and mind you really want to be living in. If you're looking to overcome your stress eating, overeating, binging behaviors, and move to a place of food and body freedom, as well as find more meaning and more moments of joy in life, you are in the right place. Hello, everyone. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. We are talking in depth today about how to make actual lasting changes that we want to be making in our lives. And this has to do with the narrative or the stories that we are telling ourselves. So if you've ever struggled to make a lasting change, sustainable change, so whether it's with your health, your weight, your habits, your relationships, or your mindset. You might have thought the problem, I hear this all the time, I don't have willpower, I'm not disciplined enough. But what if the real issue wasn't what you're doing, but the story or the narrative you're telling yourself about who you are? This has to do with our identity and the stories that we hold deep within us and how they influence our behaviors. Just a quick interruption to tell you about a supporter of the podcast. This is 5 Strands at Home Testing Kits for food intolerances. They are home testing kits and they're a very affordable option for adults and children as well as pets to uncover common food and environmental intolerances. This is different than allergy testing. 5 Strands tests for food intolerances, not allergies. These food and intolerance home testing kits test for intolerance to foods and also environmental items. You can buy kits individually or you can purchase the health and wellness package to receive all the standard testing kits for adults and children. The testing results are going to provide you with an elimination guideline to remove foods that may be causing unwanted symptoms like headaches, digestive issues, bloating. If you're intolerant to certain foods or ingredients, this can cause inflammation in the body. And 5 Strands has helped many people figure out exactly what foods to eliminate for a temporary way of eating. So you're not just guessing what foods are making you feel terrible. And remember, this nutritional approach is meant to be temporary, not forever. You can use 5 Strands to know how to start to begin a nutritional approach to reduce symptoms you may be having that might be caused by intolerances and to foods. And then once you start feeling better, you can start to add in the offending foods slowly back into your way of eating. So go to 5strands.com. That's the number 5. 5 strands, because it's 5 strands of hair, 5strands.com with the number 5 in the front, and enter Heather Heinen, my name, all one word, HeatherHeynen, as your discount code at checkout. Again, that is 5strands.com, and your discount code is my name, Heather Heinen, all one word. We all have an internal narrative, a collection of beliefs about ourselves, about our abilities, and about what's possible. And this story, this narrative, is the foundation for all change. I really want to emphasize that. It is the foundation of all change. You can follow every diet plan, every productivity hack, and every self improvement strategy out there. But if your underlying story contradicts your new behaviors, the change will not stick for the long term. So today we're going to dive into why your inner narrative is the foundation of sustainable change, how deeply held beliefs can sabotage even the best behavior change strategies, how to rewrite your inner story so that the habits you want actually feel aligned with who you are. Because when you change the story, you change everything. And I'm not being dramatic. I mean that. When you change the story, you change everything about you. You change everything about your life. So let's start with this very simple truth. We do not act out of alignment with who we believe we are. If you believe I'm the kind of person who always struggles with food, you will act in ways that reinforce that. If you believe I'm just not a morning person, Waking up early to exercise will always feel like an uphill battle. If you believe, I've never been athletic, you'll unconsciously avoid movement, even if you're following a workout plan. This is why so many people struggle with lasting change. They try to change the behavior without changing their identity behind it, the identity that actually drives our behavior. This is why willpower does not work long term. You can force yourself to do something for a while, but if your deeper story contradicts that behavior or that action, you will eventually fall back into old patterns. Okay, so where do these stories come from about ourselves? Our inner stories are not random. They are shaped by, can be past experiences. So one failed diet turns into, I can never stick to anything. One bad public speaking moment turns into, I'm just terrible at speaking. We can get these stories, often messages from others. A teacher, a parent, a coach said something once and we internalized it as truth. You're not good at math. Now you avoid anything involving numbers. You've never been very disciplined. Now you believe you'll always struggle with consistency. And then also cultural and societal conditioning. Society tells us what success, beauty, and intelligence looks like, and we absorb those narratives without questioning them. These stories become deeply ingrained and shape our identity. They shape the way we move through the world. So, this is how our stories really can sabotage the changes we actually really want to be making. So, let's say you set a goal to eat healthier and exercise regularly. You start strong, meal prepping, working out, feeling motivated. But deep down, your story is, I'm not someone who follows through. Or maybe it's, I always give up on myself. What happens? You miss a workout and immediately think, here we go again, I'm failing. You overeat at a party and tell yourself, see, I knew I couldn't do this. The discomfort of change makes you feel like an imposter because it contradicts your identity. So you slip back into old habits, not because the new ones weren't working, but because they weren't rooted in the right foundation. Sustainable change starts with changing the story of yourself. If you're stuck in an old story that's keeping you from change, here is how to shift it. Step one, identify your current story. What's a belief you have about yourself that might not be serving you? Ask yourself, where did this story come from? Is it actually true? Step two, you need to challenge it. Look for counter evidence. If you believe I never stick to anything, find times in your life when you did stick to something, even if it was small. Shift from absolute statements of I always fail to growth focused ones. I'm learning to be consistent. Step three, replace the old story with a new one. Instead of I'm bad at discipline, try I'm learning how to build habits that support me. Instead of always struggle with food, try I'm becoming someone who makes peace with food. And then the next step, act as if the new story is true. Your brain believes what you repeatedly tell it. So even if the new story doesn't feel totally true yet, start acting as if it is. Example, if your new story is, I'm capable of taking care of my health, start making one small decision each day that aligns with that. So many people focus on actions, the perfect meal plan, the right workout, the best morning routine. But if your story, your internal story, dialogue, narrative contradicts your new actions, the change will not last. It will not be sustainable. The real work isn't just about changing what you do, it's about changing who you believe you are. When you shift your identity to align with the habits you want to build, suddenly working out isn't something you force yourself to do. It's something you naturally do because you see yourself as an active person. Healthy eating is not about restriction in your mind anymore. It's just part of how you take care of yourself. Productivity is not about hustling harder. Remember what we talked about before in last week's episode. It's about seeing yourself as someone who uses time intentionally. When your actions match your identity, the change becomes sustainable. Okay, so here's a challenge for the week. If you take one thing from this episode, let it be this. Before you change a habit, work on changing the story. Here's your challenge. Identify one limiting story that's been holding you back. Write it down, see it on paper. This gives our brain clarity and a sense of control, which we need to get started with this work. Number 3, challenge it. Ask, is this objectively true? Where did it come from? Okay, and definitely write that down. Answer those questions. Is this objectively true? Journal it down. Where did it come from? Write it down. And then rewrite it. Craft a new, empowering version of that story. And then number 5, act as if it's true. Make one small decision this week that aligns with the new rewritten story. At the end of the day, the most important transformation is not just in your habits, it is in how you see yourself. You are not your past. You are not your old patterns. You are not the sum of your failures. You are the author of your story. And if the old story is not serving you, you have the power to write a new one. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love if you would share it with someone else who maybe needs to hear it. And if you try rewriting your story this week, I'd love to hear how it goes. Thanks for listening, and we will talk soon.
The information in this podcast is intended to provide a broad understanding and knowledge of healthcare topics. This information is for educational purposes only and should not be considered complete and should not be used in place of advice from your physician or healthcare provider. We recommend you consult your physician or healthcare professional before beginning or altering your personal exercise, diet, or supplementation program.
Did you know you can find a lot more help from me on my website? Go to heatherheynen.com. Heynen is spelled Heynen, and there you will find links to my online courses, how I work with clients one-on-one, as well as online with my coaching and counseling services that I offer.